So the Academy of Criminal Justice Sciences, or ACJS, was formed to provide a forum to academics, practitioners, and students to disseminate and to discuss upcoming historical, contemporary information in criminal justice. But to me, it is one of the two main national organizations in our field. And as a graduate student, I was strongly encouraged to become very active in these organizations, not only to present and to get that opportunity, but also to really network and plug in with people in the field. I have two editing, experiences with Taylor and Francis. And so the first was several years ago, I became the editor of the CPPR, which is Corrections Policy, Practice, and Research. And that journal was created by the corrections section in ACJS. And so I was part of the flagship team to kind of kick that off the ground. And what was really great about that journal was that it was very niche. And so it was focusing on an area that there was not a lot of outlet for those scholars that specifically focused on corrections. And it also opened up a forum, not just for academics and students of academia, but also practitioners. When I was on the executive board with ACJS, the opportunity, as I was cycling off, the opportunity to have the editorship for the Journal of Criminal Justice Education was presented to me. And I was like, I think this is perfect timing. The journal has had a series of special issues. And when I took over, I had some really good ideas for special issues that I wanted to do. And so one of the first was DEI and diversity, in equality in education. And that was pretty timely considering, when we happen to be collecting these submissions, things happen in the government and happened in the world, especially in the United States, to affect how that it was applied to academia. So when it was released, it was, perfect timing to show that we still support these efforts, no matter what's going on in the world. Like JCJE still finds it extremely important to focus on what's going on in our classrooms and in the world of criminal justice in regards to DEI. Whenever I took over, I have an editorial board, and that's not unusual for a journal, but much of the editorial board had been on the journal for a significant amount of time. And some of them were ready to rotate off, and I rotated some new individuals on of all different, subfields, I should say, in criminology. But what I wanted to do at the first ACJS was get them together, as whoever was available in there, to get their thoughts, like where you've been working with this journal for a significant amount of time. What do you like? What do you not like? Where do you want to see change? So that was a super informative meeting that we had the first time. And that's what actually led to the International Ed and Study Abroad theme, because one of the editorial board members was like, this is really the wave of where we need to go. And she had a significant amount of experience with doing study abroad. And then since that time, I fill out, it's a report to the ACJS board, but twice a year, it's a very lengthy report that talks about what the journal's been doing, stats on what's been accepted and what's not been accepted, and so much other things. But it's a really great way of keeping everyone informed. And so when I do that, I circulate it to all the editorial board members. We open it up for discussion. These are busy people. Often physically getting together is not easy at ACJS, but we continue to have these, meetings and discussion and keeping people informed, and also reaching out to the sections. And so I mentioned some new special issues that are coming up in 2026. The Division of Cybercrime in the American Society of Criminology, which is our other national organization, and I'm a member of that. I was, former chair of that. They reached out and they said, we really want to do something focusing on teaching cybercrime. Fantastic. At the same time, I met up with some individuals, 2 women at ACJS, who want to do a special issue on AI, which is obviously very relevant. So I'm like, let's do this together. This makes total sense to combine. And so, it's just an example of how going to these conferences and working with individuals who are amazing, who are experts in their field, and we can grow this opportunity for the journal. I have to say, Jackie and the team, as well as the production team, so they are located in a different continent as well. Ruby, I work with quite a bit. They're amazing. Like, they are extremely quick to respond. They're super helpful. whether it be an author having an issue, me having an issue. Sometimes we have issues with plagiarism or, just making sure that things are correct, fact checking. And so everyone really works together as a team. Not this June, but last June, the authors, or I should say the editors of a few of the ACJS sponsored journals with Taylor and Francis came to Oxford to have a meeting about moving forward and, I should say, moving the journals forward, but also working together as a group cohesively to, just kind of bring the ACJS mission in these journals, although they're three very different journals and they focus on, quite a bit of different topics. And that was super fruitful. And I'm hoping that we continue to do this as a regular event, because it was just really great to get together with these individuals, and Jackie facilitated all of that. And even now at ACJS, she had reached out to us just, I guess it was last week, about doing a panel on what it means to be an editor, but also the peer review process, how important that is, doing good peer reviews, knowing when peer reviews are not so good, and inviting all to come who may be interested in getting into the editorial process or getting into that review process. It is influenced by current events, some. So with the special issues, obviously there's themes, right? So we've got cybercrime, we've got DEI. We had my predecessor did a really great issue on Latinx criminology and that focus. So sometimes when we do those special issues, we'll see a trickle-down effect. And so they're published, and then we'll see a few articles come through that really focus on that. We are not a journal that focuses on evaluating methods, but we are a mixed methods journal. So what I really appreciate is with a focus on methods, or they focus on different ways to collect information and then swing that towards criminal justice education and how it affects students. And the last thing to note that I've seen is also looking at not just criminal justice education in, I should say, an undergraduate or graduate setting, but in police academies or trainings. And so I've had a few recently looking at how practitioners are trained in that type of education. I have seen anecdotally, or in my own research, certain pieces that have been published in the journal, or certain pieces from practitioners or from academics, who are influencing policy. Colleagues of mine who I know have published on certain things in the journal or other journals through Taylor and Francis, and go, oh, I saw that, and look what they're doing. Like, they're testifying in front of the United Nations. They're testifying before Congress. They are influencing. Right now, under review, we have manuscripts that are focusing on the teaching cybercrime in the classroom, as well as AI in the classroom. So those are that we have abstracts that have been accepted by our guest editors, who are very prominent figures in the field. And so we'll be doing those special issues in 2026. I'm excited about that. I just released a call on behalf of guest editor Everett Penn, who we went to the same grad school together. He's amazing. And we will be doing that call on criminal justice education, specifically focusing on HBCUs, so historically black colleges and universities. And there is a wide range of types of manuscripts that will be accepted, but I think on the tail of DEI, that this is a really contemporary and necessary topic. I'm hoping that we can form a special issue coming up maybe in 2027 or 28 on either restorative justice instruction. So one of my areas is reentry and, working with offenders as they're coming back into the system. And so swinging into restorative justice and how that's implemented, how it's taught, how our practitioners use it, as well as possibly looking at juvenile justice, specifically focusing on not only resources, but looking at juveniles as adults. If we think about students and their interest when they start a program, whether it be undergraduate or graduate, there is always a significant overlap between psychology, between sociology, even between geography and planning and looking at GIS. So students that I've had, and I know all my colleagues have had, there's often either a double major or a major minor because those courses just fit so well together. And we see that trajectory continue when people actually go in the field and get a job, whether it be practitioners or whether they be academics, there's a tie between those. And so something that I've always appreciated about this journal, and I'm hoping that that will continue to grow too, is that you don't have to be a criminal justice professor, obviously, or a police officer to contribute to the journal, that there's so much room for overlap. Publishing should not, even if you're brand new or you've been in whatever field you've been in for 30 years, it shouldn't be intimidating. And I understand why it is, but people have very valuable work, and I think it can be funneled into some really great pieces and some really influential pieces. And so I hope individuals don't feel like they have to have 4 PhDs and 100 articles published to go into a journal. That there are opportunities, and there's opportunities for collaboration, and it should be something that should be a welcoming process for all who really want to delve into the field.